You can start. Okay, good morning everybody. First, I'd like to welcome our visitors and thank them for coming to hear about our experiences that we've had over the last 3 weeks. And then I'd also like to thank Imelda and James and John and all of the students for really making this a great experience for myself, and I think everybody would agree.
Okay, so we'd like to introduce ourselves. My name is Ashley Saffold. I'm a fourth year student at UW-Madison, studying Human Development and Family Studies with an emphasis on child development, and I'd also like to go to medical school one day. And I also would like to do research, which is why I'm interested in this project. Some of the questions I had when I came here were about community-based research projects. I wanted to know what they were, who organized them, and how they were maintained.
And my name is Brett Merrick. I'm a fourth-year genetics student at UW-Madison. I'm also interested in going to medical school and also pursuing a career in research. And some of the big questions that I wanted to address while I was here were to look at how research was conducted at the community level, how problems were addressed and solutions were developed, and then how those programs were funded and really kept up by the community itself. And so today Ashley and I are going to be talking about some of the community-based healthcare development that we've seen over the past 3 weeks in villages and also in some of the major hospitals, and really talk about how communities utilize both their human resource and the financial and natural resources available to them.
And just to start off too, some of the reason why we feel it's really important to do community-based programs, I'll just kind of talk about a few. But one is to ensure the access to care. Since there are people within that community, they can make sure that the people in that community are able to access care. It is to provide education for the patient as well as for the provider. It is to address specific and individual needs. So every community has particular issues that are major for them, so this allows for that. It is to empower the community, so to give them a voice of how they want to address the problems in their community. And some of what we believe is too that the community is better able to solve the problems because they've lived there, they have the experience, and they are truly like the experts on their living environment. But we'll move on then, and
so we're gonna talk about 3 major projects that we've kind of looked at and studied a little bit, and we're going to talk about how the community prepared and researched the problem that they were addressing, then how communities implement those problems or implement solutions to those problems, and then talk about some of the challenges that we saw and how those challenges might be addressed in the future. And then at the end, we would like to kind of do a little comparison of what we've learned here and the things that we have lived through and know from the United States, and then answer any questions that anybody has. So the first thing that we want to talk about is a project that Dr. Moses Musazi started and has been developing for the past, 5, 6, 7 years, and it's his MACA pads. So he identified a problem in communities where young girls didn't have sanitary pads available to them and were missing a substantial amount of school. And so he wanted to find a way that he could sustainably produce these pads for girls to use. And so he spent a lot of time originally looking for the materials that he was going to use to make these products. And this was very interesting to me as I was focused on research because excuse me, he spent a lot of time in this development stage testing different types of grasses and different materials until he finally settled on using the papyrus plant. And it was really through the community and using the women and the girls as subjects to test his product and to really get feedback from them and learn about what worked for them and what didn't. And he's been able to develop a very successful product out of his work.
And then for me, I was really happy to see the implementation of the project because they used people within the community. So we were all told that like the refugees are actually making the product, and we were able to go and see them pounding the papyrus and sliding in and making the different layers that go into the pad. And so he's really depending on the community to make that. And for me, that offers jobs to the community. It speaks a lot to kind of diminishing gender roles because you have women who are now making substantial amounts of money to take back to their homes. And then just in general, the money is staying in Uganda. So I think that is wonderful for the community. And then we also were able to see it being used at a school and talk to a few girls too. So it definitely is impacting the community, and these girls are able to stay in school. So for me, it's been a wonderful project.
And so looking kind of into the future and talking to Dr. Musavi about where he plans to take this business. And one of the major challenges that I think he identified and that we agree with is that the demand for these pads is something like 40 million pads a month. And right now they're making substantially less than that. And being able to take the community-based programs and then mass produce these pads to make them available to all who need them, it is going to be difficult to still employ, workers in the communities because it might require some kind of mechanization or mass production techniques that are a little difficult to sustain.
And then just one last question that we had was, are most people able to